Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of the biggest companies in the world and also one that's been getting more and more woke recently. I'm of course talking about Disney. Disney is a big conglomerate that makes movies, TV shows, theme parks, and more. They have a television station, they have merchandise, they're all over the place. And today we're talking about one of their famous theme parks, Disneyland, the original one built in Southern California. Well, they're changing one of their rides and making it more PC friendly. They've done this before with other things and other rides and things they've revamped. They've had to redo things in their past. Disney has had lots of woke stuff come out about them recently, but this one with this new ride is probably the most ridiculous, and it's ahead of something else that's interesting. You see, this ride has been turned into a movie called Jungle Cruise. The ride's called Jungle Cruise, and there's a movie coming out about it with The Rock. It should be pretty interesting. I like some of the other movies, like for example, Pirates of the Caribbean was a huge film franchise based off another Disney ride, and now they're doing one for Jungle Cruise. I'm not sure how big this one's going to be, but the ride is already getting kind of attacked and they're revamping it. As you can see by this article right here, it says Disney is overhauling another popular ride that some argue is racist. The Jungle Cruise ride was an opening day attraction at Disneyland in 1955, partly inspired by the film The African Queen. A new live action film based on the ride is set to be released this year. So there you can see the beginnings of the story. There's a picture of Disneyland, and they're just obviously caving in. They're trying to be more PC and woke. I'm not sure how offensive this stuff actually is. I predict it's not very offensive at all. It's just a little dated. I think we could see where it's going since it's inspired by the African Queen. It's Jungle Cruise, so it's obviously in a jungle, probably Africa or South America or something. And I think what happens is they get some of the locals in there. They have ones that kind of look stereotypical African type people, and that's where they're going to get themselves in trouble. But again, this shouldn't be offensive now. It wasn't offensive when it came out, and it hasn't been offensive for many decades, but it goes to show how woke things are in the world, how bad these PC politics are getting, and how much it's influencing things like pop culture and our big landmark theme parks like Disneyland. Disney is rethinking another one of its most popular rides that has long faced criticism for featuring racist depictions of people of color. This year, Disney will renovate the Jungle Cruise attraction located at Disneyland in California and Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom in Florida to incorporate a new storyline and animated animatronics. On the ride, guests board boats captained by skippers who humorously narrate their journey through famous rivers around the world. Along the way, guests pass by animatronic depictions of animals and native people from Africa, Asia, and South America. So it has different jungles. It has jungles of all types from all over the world. It seems harmless to me. I don't see anything offensive right here. I do think the article is going along with it. They're kind of assuming this stuff is racism. If someone says they're offended by something, it's automatically racism. I don't buy that. I think it's just people being offended and looking for something to get upset about. I think it's also people that are spoiled and get what they want all the time. So they look at popular things and they just want to tear them down. And they know that the SJWs in power, the people that run Disney and big tech and corporations and stuff like that, they're going to go along with them. And they're just kind of like, they smell blood in the water. They've gotten their way a few times and now they're going for it again and again. For years, critics have argued that the depictions of these native people were racist and based upon harmful, outdated stereotypes. On the ride currently, the native people are depicted as being violent, with one being a literal headhunter. The company plans to make the changes this year. Notably, the new Jungle Cruise will not feature any characters or major storylines from an upcoming feature film based on the ride that's set to be released this year, starring Emily Blunt and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But the ride's overhaul will address how native people and their culture are represented, a spokesperson for Disney said. The Jungle Cruise has always had more than a whiff of Great White Hunter in its depictions of the local natives, said Lynn Testa, president of a travel website Touring Plans and co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. The audio that plays for guests standing in line might as well be called British colonialism's greatest hits. In case you're wondering, here are some of the animatronic figures being removed from Disney's Jungle Cruise for being racist. So what do we got here? We've got some Indian people, I believe, climbing a tree, running from this rhinoceros. I believe they could be Moroccans too. Those Moroccans have those fez type hats. So it's like a Middle Eastern African depiction. This is like a tribal guy. I don't really see the offensiveness. I understand these could be seen as stereotypical now. And I think it's just the shift in culture, the Overton window. And what you got to ask yourself is, I think it's more important to say, was Disney trying to be racist? Were they trying to attack these groups of people? Was this meant to be negative upon them? Because the way I see it is this is honorary. This is honorific. This is celebrating the jungle, the people that live around the jungle, the history of the places around jungles, just things like that. It's like an outdoor attraction showing people animals, and there's some people of African tribes or whatever it may be, Moroccans, things like that. Might be Middle Easterns or Indian jungle or something. But the point is, they weren't trying to be offensive. They weren't attacking them. It's just many years later, things have changed, and now they're trying to say it's offensive retroactively. And in this case, Disney's caving in, they're giving in. And I think that's fine too. It's understandable. They're trying to appeal to wide audiences. They need to update things anyway. I'm sure these animatronics don't last forever. So they figure, hey, instead of keep rebuilding this one that's getting us in trouble in the press, let's just replace it with something else. That's fine too. I think the whole issue is this shouldn't have been an issue. The issue is that PC police is getting out of hand. People are sick of not being able to talk about things and having this kind of walk on eggshells vibe going on all over the place. Criticism about the ride's problematic elements has intensified in the wake of last year's announcement that Disney would redo another popular attraction, Splash Mountain, for similar reasons. Splash Mountain, a log flume ride, is set to be rethemed with characters from the film The Princess and the Frog, the first Disney film to star a black princess. Currently, Splash Mountain features characters in a storyline from the 1946 film Song of the South, which has long been panned for its racist depictions of black people. So another example, this is the one I was thinking of earlier that we covered last year. Splash Mountain had to be revamped, and they even went so far as to throw in the Princess and the Frog character, which I thought was another strange move. I don't have anything against that one, but you just kind of would think they would pick a more popular princess. I know that there are already a lot of rides featuring them, but no one was asking for a Princess and the Frog ride. Like, this is like the least popular one. The only reason that princess even gets attention is because they're black. I don't know if there's a big fan base for it. I hardly ever hear about it except for PC cases like this, but it's fine. I mean, like I said, the updates are fine, but it's like I said also, where they smell blood in the water. Now that you give them one ride and you update that, then they're going to go to the next ride. It never ends. You can't win with these people. So it might even be a better strategy to not even try to start appeasing them. Over the years, Disney has retooled other rides and attractions as cultural norms have shifted. A scene on the popular ride Pirates of the Caribbean, where the attraction's famed pirates were auctioning off women, as was axed in recent years. And in the 1990s, the Hall of Presidents attraction was reworked to include discussion of the history of slavery in the U.S. Outdated depictions shouldn't be upheld simply in the name of nostalgia, said Carlisle Weissel, a theme park journalist. Disney continuing the updates they've done to Pirates and recently announced for Splash and changes to Jungle is a fantastic decision. So of course the media is along with this. Of course the SJWs are going to take the win, and I'm going to kind of sit in the middle somewhere on this. I mean, I think you could understand my take that it shouldn't be this way. I also understand Disney just wanting to cave in. It's easier. They don't want to fight it, but they are going to face more trouble in the future. So there might be a point where you want to take a stand. Other travel experts noted that decision to redo Jungle Cruise was a proactive one on Disney's part. These days, Disney, rather than being behind the curve and waiting to react when the public suddenly starts to complain about a specific character or attraction, it's trying to get out ahead of things, said Jim Hill. But the coming changes to Jungle Cruise are also a reflection of how visitors' interest in the ride has changed. The first iteration of Jungle Cruise was an opening day attraction in 1955, and it was inspired by African Queen, starring Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, and a series of nature documentaries that Disney produced at the time. Here's a comment, someone saying they won't go back to Disney. I think it does turn people off. Cancel culture trying to erase history once again. It's very anti-historical, very kind of, it's like rewriting the story. They're trying to reframe the past and make everything like racist when it's really not. It's just a very immature way to act, and it's not hurting anyone. Disney wasn't trying to be offensive. These rides aren't really offending anyone besides these SJW worrywarts who just make problems out of everything. They're constantly complaining, constantly coming up with things that they call racist. I'm not buying it. I understand why people wouldn't want to go back to Disney. I always found that this comment says they found the hen hunter joke a funny one, and it was intended to be funny. They don't go to Disney for anthropology lessons. It's like, people don't want to be preached to. These places are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be exciting. This honestly reminds me of like an old Indiana Jones episode or something like that, like just having these kinds of characters and things that happened in the past, but it's not really trying to be offensive. It's not trying to be stereotypical. Maybe it is a little stereotypical, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, racism isn't ever going to kill someone. Like, racism is just these things they get offended by. It's not really as hardcore as they claim. Obviously, racism is still bad, and you don't want it to take you into doing bad things to people, but this is not that. This is just people complaining about an old Disney ride and getting triggered by something that is just not a problem. That about wraps things up. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We'll see you next time.